Sami Zayn, and here comes the GOAT! John Cena! Shoulder tackle! And another one by Cena! Down goes Sami!
Dijak one more time. Dan's will finally set it up. You think you're tough, Dijak, huh? You think you're tough?
Something's corrupting Alexa.
That is how it works. Alexa Bliss is attacking the official. What the hell?
What is going on?
This past week in the WWE was pretty good. We're going to talk about it. And it started with last week's Smackdown, the December 30th Smackdown. The WWE went all out for that show. I'm not sure why that show was so important. I don't know if it was just because it was the last Smackdown of the year, or if it had anything to do with Fox. But WWE definitely went all out, to say the least. A lot of the show was positive for me. It started with the whole Bray Wyatt storyline. I've talked about it on this channel before, how the storyline has dragged at times. But they have added a couple of twists and turns here and there. The latest twist was that when LA Knight was calling out Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy did not attack LA Knight. Instead, Uncle Howdy attacked Bray Wyatt. What that means, it could mean a lot of things. I don't really think that it means that it's going to be Uncle Howdy versus Bray Wyatt at this point. It could just be Uncle Howdy trying to bring the beast out of Bray Wyatt, the monster out of Bray Wyatt. I still contend that it is LA Knight that is carrying this feud. He's been completely entertaining. It's been wonderful to see him be able to be himself on the main roster, because he is being hella entertaining over on SmackDown. The speculation still remains. I think the biggest speculation is that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's real life brother, to possibly set up that storyline even more. This does set up a match between LA Knight and Bray Wyatt in what is supposed to be a pitch black match. LA Knight has no idea what the hell a pitch black match is. Neither do we. But we will find out at the Royal Rumble. Those two set to go one-on-one at the Royal Rumble. One of the big takeaways from SmackDown was that they continue to set up Sami Zayn's storyline within the Bloodline. The possibility of the Bloodline turning on Sami Zayn in the future. They had Sami Zayn lose that big main event match, teaming up with Roman Reigns against the returning John Cena and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was the one to beat and pin Sami Zayn in that match. I still think this has been one of the best stories in wrestling. Obviously, the Bloodline in general, but also the Sami Zayn aspect of this story remains good TV and some good booking for the most part. I've been happy with the story, the way it's developed over time. At one point in time, the Bloodline story got stale, because, you know, the Bloodline story has been going on quite a while now. Roman Reigns has been champion for a few years now, and so it did get stale at one point. But then they started to bring in Sami Zayn into the fold, and it eventually became very entertaining again. I think Sami Zayn is a big part of why the Bloodline story is working still to this day. They continue to also build towards Gunther versus Braun Strowman. I think that we might finally see a good big man feud in the WWE if they continue to build this well. It's been a while since we actually got a good big man feud. Bobby Lashley and almost fought at WrestleMania, but that wasn't worth a damn, and the build wasn't either. maybe they will actually get this one right in the WWE. Also on SmackDown, I liked how they were able to make Top Dollah's botch a few weeks back into a storyline with him getting annoyed and pissed at Ricochet's teasing and attacking Ricochet. I like that they also set that up with the possible storyline and heel turn for Hit Row. But one of the biggest cons on SmackDown for me continues to be the women's roster of SmackDown. It's been terrible all of last year. 2022 was an abysmal year for the SmackDown women. A lot of it had to do with Ronda Rousey first trying to be a face and not being able to pull it off at all. And then they turned her heel and made her champion, and she still struggled and continued to be one of the worst things in all of the WWE. This past week, they have Charlotte Flair return and defeat Ronda Rousey in an impromptu match to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. And I still don't like it, because I also don't feel like Charlotte Flair is the help that the SmackDown's women division needed. A lot of that will have to do with Charlotte Flair being a face in this feud now, again, with Ronda Rousey. It doesn't help that just a year ago, these two were also feuding in one of the worst feuds leading into WrestleMania. And now they're doing a redo, just flipped, with Ronda being the heel now and Charlotte being the face. I'm not saying this feud's going to last until WrestleMania, but the fact that we have to watch this feud again sucks. And I think the SmackDown's women division will continue to suck with Charlotte Flair leading the way as well. With Ronda Rousey being the head of the SmackDown women's division, it was like shooting yourself in the right foot. WWE was shooting itself in the right foot. And now with Charlotte Flair, instead of shooting themselves in the right foot, they're just shooting themselves in the left foot, because Charlotte Flair has never ever made for a good face. And she's not going to start now all of a sudden. She is way too awkward to be a good face. It's just not going to happen. Yes, most of her career has been spent as a heel, so you can try and call it fresh, but I don't think it is fresh at all. We have seen Charlotte Flair as a face on a couple of occasions, and every single time it was awkward. I don't see things changing here. So the women's division on SmackDown continues to be the big negative point for it. Moving on over to Raw, they once again had the Bloodline started off attacking people, similar to how they did the last Raw of the year before the Christmas break with the clip show. Adam Pearce also getting involved trying to stop it. And this kind of set up some matches. Elias wanting to get his revenge on the Bloodline and Solo Sikoa. It's fit the story. Solo Sikoa tried to injure Elias a few weeks back, so that was a setup to that match. It also set up Kevin Owens and the Street Profits to go against Sami Zayn and the Usos. Sami Zayn getting the win in this match to kind of, I guess, make up for his loss on SmackDown this past week. I didn't really like that 50-50 booking. If they're going to continue to tease that Sami Zayn's going to get turned on, just keep making him start screwing up for the Bloodline. The question really remains where they're going to go with that. The speculation from dirt sheets has been that it's going to end up being, once Sami Zayn gets turned on, maybe he tries to patch up his relationship with Kevin Owens, and those two have a tag team title match against the Usos at WrestleMania. A lot of fans want Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Roman Reigns. Of course, a lot of other fans want Cody Rhodes to win the Royal Rumble and challenge Roman Reigns. And then, of course, there is the speculation that The Rock will be brought into the storyline with Roman Reigns to take on the head of the table himself. A lot of good possibilities for WrestleMania there. I like every single one of those possibilities, honestly. Another big part of Raw was Alexa Bliss continuing to turn back to her, I guess, evil self back when she was involved with the Bray Wyatt storyline. The Bray Wyatt logo always popping up on camera, and she kind of officially turned on Bianca Belair in their match together and tried to injure her. I don't know if the execution of this was that great, honestly. It came off kind of awkward, especially with the guy standing in the audience with the bootleg Uncle Howdy mask. Yeah, I think that turned for Alexa Bliss. The overall story for it is intriguing, kinda, but I don't think the execution has really been there so far with what they've been trying to do with Alexa Bliss. It just comes off more awkward than anything. I did like the Dominic in prison story with that vignette of him in prison. It came off very over dramatic and cheesy, but I think it was supposed to come off over dramatic and cheesy. Dominic's kind of been playing it up for comedy lately with the online stuff, and I'm here for it. I think Dominic is becoming a more entertaining pro wrestler, which is really all we can ask of from him. I think the heel turn for Dominic has been working out for him for sure. The main event of Raw was Rollins versus Theory for the U.S. title, with Theory cementing himself as U.S. champion, and then Seth Rollins kind of being injured at the end of that match. And then when Raw went off the air, there's video of him still being injured. There hasn't been any confirmation that Seth Rollins is injured in real life, so I don't know if that is a real injury or if he was just really selling really hard after Raw or what. But I guess we will find out if that is just story or not next week in the WWE. Lastly, in the WWE this past week, we got to talk about NXT. Freddie Prinze Jr. came out, I think just today or yesterday, really talking crap about NXT and how it is unwatchable. He really shat on NXT. And I don't really think Freddie Prinze Jr. should be doing that. I feel like he's trying to stay relevant in wrestling because he wants to start his own promotion. But he's been talking about this for a year now and is yet to start it. So I really don't know if that's actually going anywhere or not, and if he's really ever going to start a promotion. But if he is ever going to start a promotion, it is going to be a bunch of green talent similar to NXT. Freddie Prinze Jr. is not going to be able to pull in this great talent. I don't think he has the money backing to do so. So he shouldn't be opening his mouth like this, because it's going to make whatever promotion he does end up opening extremely judged by WWE fans. I will say, though, once Vince McMahon took over NXT and changed it to NXT 2.0, it definitely did become unwatchable at times. There was just a complete lack of focus for the show, and I do sometimes still feel that under Shawn Michaels, some episodes do have that complete lack of focus, where it feels like way too many things are going on, and it's hard to follow the developmental talent in those episodes. But not every episode is that way, and I thought this past week's NXT on January 3rd was decent enough. I liked that it opened with Carmelo Hayes and Apollo Crews. I thought those two had an excellent match to start off the show. And I've talked about this before on the channel as well. I like the chances NXT takes at times to do things that are a little bit different. They had a similar thing to what Impact Wrestling does a lot over the past several years. They had Dijak kidnap Stax and have this video of him like almost torturing Stax to kind of send a message to Tony D'Angelo. They are really setting up this Dijak versus Tony D'Angelo feud, and also kind of giving Tony D'Angelo a face turn in the process. Dijak would then take on Stax on NXT and win, try and further injure him after the match, and then Tony D'Angelo had to make the save. I also like what Drew Gulak has been bringing to NXT as of late. He's been really bringing some entertainment, kind of being a coach to some people in NXT. And I like that they put him in a feud with Andre Chase, who is also like a coach gimmick with Chase U and all that. And Gulak having to get healed in that match with Andre Chase. I like the slow build to Gulak in NXT again. I do kind of feel like the biggest cons on NXT this past week were with the important stories. They had a segment where all the women were trying to get mic time and just all giving separate little basic things on the mic. They all had a mic for a short time. I don't think it really worked. I did like the brawl between Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, and Alba Fire picking up a win over Dawn, finally getting some revenge on her for costing her the title a couple of months ago. But I also thought it ended kind of awkward with the Waller effect and Braun Breaker being the guest on the Waller effect. That segment was pretty awkward. I thought they were just kind of talking over each other a lot. It came off really disjointed to me. Not my favorite Waller effect. There's definitely been better Waller effects, and this is to set up these two in a title match at, I think, the next NXT event. I'm not really feeling this feud yet. I hope it grows on me, but at this point, I am not feeling the feud. But I still think overall for the WWE this past week, it was a good week. News coming out today about how Vince McMahon is really trying to hold the company hostage. He wants to be put back on the board because if not, he's threatening a lot of things. There's speculation that either he wants to sell the WWE or that the WWE is trying to sell itself. But Vince would still have final say because he has the most stocks in the company, the most shares of the company. And so he is saying if he is not put back on the board, that he is not going to approve that sale. Or he's not going to approve any TV right deals that need to be made by 2024. So Vince really trying to get back in his company at his big old age. I don't know. I think WWE is trying to get into a better place creatively. Vince has done, Vince and company have done a good job for the WWE over these past 2 decades, continuing to grow the wealth, continuing to make these big money deals. But creatively, the creative has gotten worse and worse and worse over the past 2 decades. Every single year, the creative got worse and worse and worse, honestly. So, Vince being gone from creative is the best thing. I think Triple H has a bigger passion for the creative than Vince has had for a long time. Not that Triple H is perfect. He still needs a lot of work himself, but he does have the passion for it. So hopefully Vince and all of this drama to get back in the company doesn't hurt it creatively. Because I do feel like it is possibly on the horizon of better creative. But we'll see what comes of that drama.